Hi, welcome to Grandparents' Legacy. If I can explain how this came about, I'm 70 years old now and just retired. I've got 6 grandchildren with of wide-ranging ages from 21 to 7. So they're constantly now asking me stories about what I've done in my life and particularly about my parents and grandparents. And it's occurred to me that I can help put that together, as today we have the technology like no generations before us to do that. Now Apple do a fantastic job with the photos in the library, with AI now beginning to organise the entire lifetime of your photos and videos. And I had digital cameras for 10 years before the cloud came along with the Apple products, and so I've uploaded all those there as well, and now got over 100,000 photos and videos in there. So the AI helps to organise them and sort them. But how would you actually add and reflect my generation to what will be my grandchildren's generation and their children afterwards? And so it occurred to me that I could put together, using the Apple product, a simple set of newsletters and news sheets that we could have video and also audio, as well as and explain events as they've gone on, as well as dive back into the past and put together details of what happened in my parents' and grandparents' generation and the wider family. So I put together a few of these newsletters and started mentioning it to a couple of people at the golf club, and I was absolutely amazed how many, once they saw it, wanted to copy and do the same thing to enhance what Apple have done. The idea is not to put this into the public cloud, it's to actually produce it using Pages and then save it as an e-publication, only 5 or 6 pages at a time, but multiple embeds of photographs and video and stories. And I found the easiest way to do it is simply talking into the sound part of notes and convert it to text, drop it onto the pages. It's not difficult. It can be put together. So this video is really a set of instructions to help my friends who are constantly asking me how I did it, to put it together, and there'll be a sequence of learnings to explain how I simply compile some of these newsletters that can be saved into the iBooks of the wider family and then put into the My Book section and kept as a reference for hopefully multiple generations. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Initially, for this introduction, I just opened a simple blank page in Pages, and I'd like to put your attention to the fact that in the icon at the top, Media, we have the drop down box, and the one we're going to concentrate on is the ones we're going to concentrate on are Image Gallery and Record Audio. And more will become apparent as we go through the exercise. Press the Media button and we'll go to Image Gallery, and up pops a box where we can drop images. At the same time, I've opened a window on my PC which has got the images in that I've selected that we're going to drop into this exercise. Right. I'll take all 5 images, and by holding the shift key, clicking the first image and then holding the shift key down and the last image, you can grab all of them together and then drag all 5 into the window. You'll see that as they load in, it comes up with an arrow on the right, and you can see that the proportionality of the image is wrong, so you can just stretch it out to get it to the correct proportions that you want to do. So it's somewhere near there, and you can move it anywhere on the screen that you wish. So that's simply how you add a stack of images into the screen. So these images are to do with the City of Manchester Stadium as it was in 2002, which is the simple topic I'm using for this story. And it was built, the stadium, for the Commonwealth Games. So these were pictures that were taken on an old digital camera at the time, and it shows the construction of the stadium as it was for the Rugby Sevens. Following this, the whole stadium, if you look at the right-hand end of the stadium, which I think is this one, you'll see it was built in a temporary fashion. It was then deconstructed, and the end of the stadium was built afterwards, but they went down about 20 feet and put another tier of seating all the way around where the running track used to be. And so it then became It was then passed over to Manchester City and became the Etihad Stadium as opposed to the City of Manchester Stadium. So that's kind of where we are today. So I'm now going to create another one of these squares. So I'll come again to the image gallery and put it down here. And now we can look at what the stadium looks like today. So I'll take these two images here from the album and just drag them across. So it's inserting the media now. That took a moment to load, but basically what we've now got is the current stadium as of a recent game with Manchester City and Tottenham in December 2024. And you can see on each of these pictures, if you click on them, you get arrows left and right. So another way of skipping through them while you're in pages is just to use the arrows. When viewing it after it's an EPUB, particularly on an iPad, you can then flick these with your fingers and expand as you would do normally. If you look on the right, you'll see that the pictures are actually stacked, and you can change the order of the stack if you wish, just by moving them up and down, and you can add or delete photos as required. In 2024, you can actually see the blue red lights at the top here. This is actually the stadium has been expanded in size again to put 3 tiers at the northern end. And looking at a quick plan from Google Earth, you can see here's the stadium. The velodrome is over here, the running track that was for the athletics that was built for the Commonwealth Games. Today we've got something called the Co-op Arena here, but this is the training pitches that they have for the complex, which is quite impressive as we look today. So what you see now is that we've got these images that have been added, and if you look underneath where it says captions, so here where this caption is, up on the right, you can have a same caption for each of the image, for all the images, or individual captions for each one. So if we just do the same one, click on the caption, and we can just put City of Manchester Stadium, and you can change the typeface and font if you wish. And if we look at each of the images now, they've now got the same. And here we can actually have the Etihad Stadium. In 2024, and on that one I didn't change the caption, so we can actually put a different caption there. And so that gives you an idea how to simply add photographs, which you can then move around at will, and you can do a lot more, as we'll come on to in a little while. The next demonstration, I'm going to actually insert a video. So again, I've put them into the album on the right. I'm going to take this one, which was me just talking into the camera as a talking head in relation to introducing this series of lessons to do page construction, and they can be embedded in any page as well as any other video. This is 39 seconds long, so it's quite a long one. But following that, we've then got a series of videos that are taken from the night of the Manchester City Tottenham game that was a few weeks ago. So we'll add one of those in as well. As with the photos, you can move a video placement anywhere on the page that you wish and resize accordingly. We'll now add a second video from this section that we'll now insert into the page. Inserted into the page, and you can see it's oversized, so we just need to get it down to the right size to view. And when you play this video, it will show the pitch being covered with a carpet for a presentation to a player prior to the game starting. So that's an interesting second video that's there. As you can see, the page fills up fairly quickly, and we can come back to a lot of that, a lot more enhancement to that at a later date. But initially, I'm just going to add another page. So we'll do a quick save and using copy and paste, I've added a couple of other pages, but if you press on the icon on the top left, which is you can then turn on your thumbnails, which is useful to keep on when you're working. I've now got 3 empty pages. So if I come to the second page, and we can actually begin to add a few extra things at this point. What I'm now going to do is just bring this image in here, dragging it straight across, and that's automatically sort of placed itself in a single picture for one window. This is a JPEG of some text, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but basically it's actually a snapshot of text I've taken in notes with the recording, which we'll talk about in a little while. But the principle behind this is if you save text to a JPEG, you lose some of the clarity reading the text, and so it's better to not do it in that format. What I'm going to do is to just import the same image but as a PDF to let you see the difference. What I've now done is open my Finder, and in this section where I've put some of the items, you've got here notes, screen grab, note, JPEG and PDF, and it was originally constructed in PowerPoint. So the JPEG you've seen on the previous page, I'm now just going to bring into the page the actual PDF version of the same thing. And if we just go back to look at the difference between the two, you'll actually begin to see. So this is the PDF inserted into an empty page. If I now just go to the page above that, you can actually begin to see that the clarity of the text isn't as strong when you've saved it as a JPEG. So that's worth remembering when you're inserting PDFs into a page, which you can do with lots of documents that you might want to pull in as stories. In the next part of this lesson, I've opened up a notes page on the right hand side, and in it I've got a couple of recordings that I've already done. Now these are very simple to do. If you come to the top where you have the recording button, you can press record, and then you can just press the record button here, and you can dictate text, and as you see it's actually listening to my voice and it's dictating as we speak, and therefore all of that text can be used as a grab. So we can actually take the text and convert it to, take the audio and convert it to text. We'll just stop that. And if we scroll down under here, we can then see, press done, and then you can see that new recording has come in at the top of the page. And if you press the play button, it would be there. If you click on the preview, it actually brings the text up on the right hand side, and then you can grab that text and actually just drop it underneath on that section, so you can then begin to edit it, and that's really what the concept of this is about. You can dictate, so you can drop them in as a voice note, and you can then drop the text in, which is what we're going to do next. Now, inserting audio or a voice note could not be easier. What's built into Pages in Media here is record audio. It comes up. You can record the audio as I'm speaking now. That's pulling it all together. Press stop and insert, and this is the audio button, which you can put a text caption underneath. However, if you use the notes to do it, and we'll come over to this side, I'll grab this just by dragging the actual recording across into the page, it comes across as a similar icon. And so to insert a recording from notes, there's one over on the right here that I produced on the Commonwealth Games section. So if I go on there and copy it, come across to my page and paste, the whole recording is now inserted into the page. It's gone on a new page, but basically it's down below. I could also then pick the text up. So we can click the button here, and it will read out the recording. So to add the text to go adjacent to the recording, we initially press the text button at the top on the menu bar in Pages. Where we've got type entered text, we're going to cut and paste instead. But what's important is that we copy it and then highlight the text that's in this box and then paste, and then we can resize the box accordingly when it's actually on the page. So we can begin to then manage and develop the page in any way that we wish using the text. So we've put text in, and we've put a voice note in, and we've also put the images in and pages. So we can then start playing around with styling. And so at this point, you can actually take one of the pictures, say this one of the videos, copy it, come back down underneath and paste. And so we've now got it on the second page as well as the first, and that actually means we can remove that video from the front page and begin to play with some of the styling. I've now just left the 2 pages open with videos inserted and photographs inserted and stacked along with a text box. Just going to show you a few styling things that you can do. If I click on this video here where it says no border, you can click down and add a line or a picture frame, which gives a bit of enhancement to it. What's very simple to do is to add in blocks of colour. So if we come up to shapes and an oblong or whatever, you can actually move this down to cover a chunk of the page. I'll just cover roughly half of the left hand side initially, and we can take it all the way up to the top of the page, and then we can bring it across. So when you get your colour, you can actually begin to play around with it. If you press where it says fill, we can actually pick a styling. So if I pick that styling, it pulls that across. We can then drag the items around the page. Now, as you can see the overlap, we need to get the block of colour at the back. So we can actually say send to back, and then the video will drop over the top. And we can change the colour of the text caption to actually be a better colour format as we look at it. So that's detailed. We can look at it. We can put this over here, and that now begins to look a little bit more interesting. We can actually then put a different style of colour on the right hand side, which then enables you to add blocks of text onto that colour. So if we just come along to shapes again and pick a lighter colour, under the styling tab, you can simply pick a colour in there, and we can actually reduce the opacity and change it right in a way that feels beneficial. If I come back to the other page, pick up the text block that we had there, I can copy and paste the text block from the previous page, the page below, and it drops on top of the right hand side, and I can then change and resize the box, and it now begins to look a bit more interesting. If we also come to the page where we have the voice note, we can actually copy the voice note and bring that forward to the top page and paste it in and move it around the screen and add a caption underneath. So in a way, what we've produced there is a voice note of the text, and the text actually in text format, so it can be read as opposed to listened to. You'll also note that I've changed the City of Manchester Stadium to white against a dark background and made it bold. In these examples, we have covered the basics of inserting videos, inserting grouped images, voice notes and text. These have now been dropped into 2 simple pages with a reminder of the notes section and how to do the dictation below. The last thing I'd leave you with at this point is the auto generation of videos using the new movie function in Apple. This video here that I'm now inserting is actually produced using the AI algorithms that Apple have, and they ensure that the music is copyrighted to make sure that it can be distributed as part of the Apple service. So I hope you enjoy these first entries into producing your own ebook and EPUB publication for distribution. Now we've covered the basics of page construction, I'd just like to explain the easiest way of putting a story together in some form of news sheet to send to friends or family. When you open Pages and you go to templates, you have these preset templates that Apple have produced. I'll take you towards this first one to begin with, and you can see how it it opens up. It's got a title page at the front and a second page and a third page. It's easy to just add extra pages. If you copy and then paste, you can paste separate pages in as you go forward. And so with what you've hopefully learned from adding text and video and picture and stacked pictures and voice, it's actually possible to create your own newsletter at this point. So rather than go through it laboriously, this is one I've opened earlier. You'll recognize the images from doing the page construction, and that's actually page 2 of this. Then page 3, where we've got two videos on this side, and then we've got 2 images down here, and the other the image that was auto-generated from the movie by Apple, and then the note moving forward in relation to what happened with notes to add text. I've put a caption page at the front, and that can then be saved. So if you could, when you've produced this and saved it, you then go to File, Export to, and go to EPUB, and you can send yourself a copy at this point to check that you've got all the formatting correct, or just save it. And if you save it, basically that means you can then access that, put it in an email, send it to friends and family after you've checked it by sending it to yourself. You can actually export to Apple Publishing on books, but that just opens it to the wider public. And I think the principle behind this is preferably to keep it towards family and friends. I hope you enjoyed the initial introduction to what we're doing here at Real-Time Legacies, as we're now looking at beginning to call it. But if you do, press the subscribe button and press the like button as the jargon goes. Thank you very much.